I've never been live before. We're going live in a minute. I'll be doing the chat after we do our class. So I am very new to YouTube Live. In fact, this is my very first class, so welcome. Today's class is sponsored by my Union Fit channel. I've got the link in my comments. This is full-length classes, 24/7, on demand. Different from my YouTube. My YouTube, as you know, generally just teaches poses and how to do them. My Union Fit channel is full-length classes of every length, of every intensity, of every skill level, no matter where you are in your practice. I've got classes for you. And I put it in the chat, but if you email me, Shana@YOGAthletica.com, I know the spelling's a little weird, so look in the chat, with the subject free week, I will give you a free week of classes, unlimited streaming, so you could check it out. And all annual passes are always half price. Now bear with me, I'm just gonna check my camera one more time to make sure that I stay on screen. Hoping for the best. Hey, let's get this party started. Today we're going to be working in a half lotus flow. Now, this is going to assume that you have certain opening in your hips. And if you have challenges with half lotus, modify however you need to. And it always helps to have a strap, especially because we're going to be taking some binds. And when we do that, you could always put the strap around your foot, clasp, and that will help you with the bind. And so let us sit towards the middle of our mat, maybe slightly forward. And we'll start in just like a crisscross position, just a basic crisscross position, sitting up tall, shoulders back and down. We'll begin with a tiny little meditation just to get into our breathing, into ourselves, into our focus. So sitting up nice and tall, shoulders are back and down, collarbones are broad, and your core is slightly engaged. We'll take some deep Ujjayi breaths, big inhales and exhales. Everything is passing through your nose and originating in the base of your throat, making sort of a hollow sound as it comes in and out of your body. Gently opening your eyes, remembering that the breath is honestly and truly the foundation of the whole practice. We're going to try to keep that breath going the whole time. Keeping your legs in a nice Sukhasana. Remember guys, Sukhasana is crossed at the shins, not at the ankles. So get a nice crossed feet just wide of your knees. We'll fold forward. And as your hands walk forward, remember that they serve a dual purpose of extending your body, but also pressing your hips back at the same time. Make sure your tailbone is firmly rooted and never worry how low you go. If you're feeling the opening, you're doing it. Keep breathing like you mean it. walk your hands backwards. We're just gonna switch legs. So a very basic movement, but our legs are so used to going one way that for me, like it's like, whose leg is this anyway? It just feels so weird. So again, I'm crossing at the shins, feet are just wide of my knees. Remember, that's gonna give me a bit of extra opening in my hips as I fold forward and in. Again, my hands walk me forward, but at the same time, they press me back. So heavy in the hips, open in my shoulders, my upper back. Breathing deeply. And walk it back in. Okay. Taking it already into our half lotus. So make sure your left hip or your left leg is sort of folded in towards your hip. Your right hand, you want to grab from underneath the edge of your foot, pulling your heel all the way towards your tummy and then turning the foot upside down. So remember that when you're doing a convincing half lotus, the whole foot, first of all, is supported by your thigh. So it's not like ankle wonky down, but it's fully supported and the knee is sort of pointing down towards the floor. Okay, so with the left leg, or sorry, with the right leg on top, we'll be twisting to the right. Left hand either comes palm to the knee, or you could take the back of the hand to the knee. For me, I like back of the hand better because it helps me to keep my left shoulder opening. My right hand will be on fingertips as I open my right shoulder, and it's inhales for lift and exhales for depth. Right? Now I can go further by taking this right hand in sort of a semicircular direction behind me. Inhales are length, exhales are depth. And if it's easy for you, you can absolutely grab a strap as well. You can take the bind. Grabbing the right foot, I like to actually grab the big toe with my thumb as I rotate and scratch my eye. So of course there's going to be a point where there is no more incremental movement, but it is still theoretical. On inhales, you still want to feel lift, and on exhales, you still want to feel the depth of the twist. Now, unrolling, coming back into your forward fold, but this time, can you do it while maintaining your clasp? It should actually be a little bit easier as you fold forward. So sort of like a nice little warm-up for a Shavasana 2. Again, hips are heavy. And coming up from here, we'll sort of roll onto your knees, okay? Your left hand will be down. So tuck your left leg, your left toes under if you want to. I need to because of my knee. Keep your toenails down if that's available, and open your right hip so you're balancing on your left hand and left leg. Right knee is opening towards the ceiling to the best of your ability, and then release that leg gently down. Right, so we never want to slam. Remember that coming out of the pose is sort of part of the pose. You want to always come in and come out in control. Come on down to sitting. If you got the clasp, release said clasp. Take your right leg out in front just to let the knee have a little bit of leveling. Rotate your chest. Remember that when we come into Shavasana, you want your mid-chest in line with your leg. So folding forward, if you find that your body keeps twisting, just keep your fingertips on the floor and use that to rotate as you fold. You can grab your foot. If you've got the depth, you could put your elbows on the floor. And if you have like a really nice forward bend, obviously it's still very early in our practice, but you can take your right hand forward. I like to take Jnana Mudra to sort of lock it in place as I push away, grab the wrist with my left hand and hook as I fold. So, my thigh is in alignment with my mid-chest. Of course, you could use a strap if you feel like that takes you deeper into this one. And just a few breaths. Okay, a few breaths are up. Come on up to sitting. Fold your right leg in. We'll come into the half lotus on the left. So remember, you grab the outer edge of the foot, and I basically am turning my foot upside down. And my foot is right below pretty much my belly button, okay? So it's not like resting on my thigh away from my hip, but it's basically right there in my hip crease, okay? The left knee is sort of like aiming down towards the floor. Maybe it's on the floor, maybe it's not on the floor. Doesn't matter, but it is thinking in that direction. Okay, so remember that when we twist, you can do palm or back of hand. Back of hand helps to open the right shoulder. Left fingertips are on the floor and moving in sort of a semicircular direction to take you deeper. So it's inhale, and you can actually fold your hand right under onto the floor if you wanted to. It's not my favorite, but I'll do it just for demonstration purposes. The reason it's not my favorite is because it's hard sometimes to get full length in your spine on this one because it depends on the proportions of your body, how tall you're going to be with your hand underneath your knee. Twisting, breathing. Inhales make you taller, and exhales take you deeper. And if you want to, remember that you can come around for the bind. I like to grab my big toe with my thumb. Just gives me a little bit more leverage and a little more security that I'm not going to like slip out of that foot. Now again, use a strap if you need to. You can grab the foot by looping it with a strap. I have my heater on behind me because it's freezing in my house. I know, I live in Los Angeles. It's all relative. I had a little bit of a heating fiasco, so I have no heat right now. You can file that in the too much information cabinet, but it is what it is. Come on back to center. Maintain the clasp as we fold. So again, if you feel like you're getting light in your butt, don't push back with your hand and see if you can stretch forward simultaneously. And coming back up, scratching your nose as needed. So remember, we'll roll onto your knees. Okay, so my right hand is down, my right knee, my right foot. Now on this one, I don't have to tuck my toes. I have to tuck it on the left, so I've got a knee issue there. But do what you need to do. I suggest looking down. It makes the balance easier. As we open the left knee up towards the sky to the best of your ability. Sort of a modified Vashisthasana. Yeah. I don't know if it has a number. It's not 2. Maybe it's 3 or maybe it's just a modification, but take your time as you bring that leg back down in control. Sitting down. Taking your right leg out in front. I can't even remember if we did the bind and the fold, did we? We're going to on this side, and then we'll take it into our Shavasana. A few breaths here. That's what happens when you're 51. A lot of times you just don't remember what you did like 5 minutes ago, and I'm feeling as if this is not what we did. Just remember that when you come into this pose, Ardha Baddha Paschimottanasana, now I know we didn't do it because that's a very long name and you remember when you say it, that there's a back bend involved here, and that it's chin to shin rather than head to knee. And because we didn't do it on the other side, now we're going to come out. Take it right into your Shavasana, turning again your body towards, how did I wind up on the same side? Holy moly. Switch sides. Oh boy, I hope I didn't just do the whole thing on the wrong side. I don't think I did because I twisted in the opposite direction. Turning towards the left leg, let's fold. Senility. It's just not that fun. Breathe. Again, maybe you're holding your wrist, pushing out. Maybe your forearms are on the floor. Maybe you're using your hands to rotate towards your leg. No matter what you're doing, remember again, this is chin to shin on the fold, extending your spine as much as possible. And then come on up to sit, cross your ankles, and downward facing dog. So just roll forward, take it into your dog. And because it's our first dog, maybe bend one knee, sinking your other heel to the floor, stretch it out. Make sure your armpits stay low. You got lots of opening in your upper back, lots of length in your calf. And switch sides. So notice I'm not pedaling out really quickly. I'm using this as an opportunity to stretch rather than just to move. Switch sides again. This is one of the, down dog is one of the only calf stretches, oddly enough, that we really have in yoga. So it's worth it to take an extra few moments and switch sides. Breathe. Both knees bend. Think crouching tiger, chest towards thighs, tail up high, armpits low, and press your thighs backwards into your downward facing dog. Now, just to rest assured, the classes that I have on my Union Fit channel are edited. So if I mess up like that and don't remember my right from my left, I can actually fix that. That's the fun thing about life. Not exactly TV, but there's nothing you can do when you mess up. Go ahead, roll forward into your plank position, top of the push-up. Taking a few breaths here, just staying strong, staying calm, making sure that your hips are not dipping, no dippy hips here. This is not a hippy-dippy yoga class. Take a deep breath in, and exhale, lower Chaturanga dandasana, and hold again. No hips dipping here. Keep your core strong, thighs strong. Press to plank, and we'll lower all the way to the floor. Release your toes. And let's go ahead and take your hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers and sort of pull the arms back towards the back of the mat. So this is less about like how high you get your arms and more about how they pull backwards, because that is going to open your chest. Keeping that, go ahead and lift your legs off the floor without bending them. So they're probably not going to go too high. On me, they're definitely not going to go too high. I'm not really good at the locust variations, but maybe you are. Can you keep everything up and just take your arms out to the sides? If you really like to, you can sort of externally rotate your arms a little bit extra to open up your chest. And keeping your legs up, your chest up. Take your arms forward and try to keep them in alignment with your ears. So not so much by dropping your head, but by lifting your arms. And then keeping your thighs off the floor. Take your hands like you're going to come into a cobra, but don't drop your thighs. Start to lift your chest as much as you can without dropping your thighs. So thighs are off the floor, shoulders in the back and down position. So it feels more like I'm dragging the mat backward than I'm pressing down. And then press. Take it all the way into your normal cobra. Shoulders are back and down, chest lifted. And lie down. Tuck your toes, lengthen your legs. Make sure your elbows hug your sides and it's rib cage to pelvis. No droopy hips as I press to plank. And pull backwards, downward facing dog. Take some breaths. From here, looking forward, keeping your palms flat. So try not to lift any part of your palms, including your right palm. Take your right knee to your chest and keeping your palms, honest to goodness, all the way flat. Can you step your right foot between your hands? If the bottom of your right hand lifted, that's not honest to goodness flat. We're going to really try to keep that flat when we step. And step your left foot forward. Inhaling, extend your spine and retract your shoulders. Hands can be on the floor or on your shins. Just make sure your back is flat. And exhale, fold down low. Now inhale, I like to do this with my arms next to my ears to intensify. So I come about halfway up, reach my arms forward, and then lift. Hastasana, and hands to heart, Samastitihi. If you're not used to lifting with your arms next to your ears, you will feel the difference on this one. Here we go. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, dives you all the way down. Inhale, extend your spine, shoulders retract. And exhale, we're going to step back with your right foot first, followed by the left, and hold. So, if the planks become sort of intense, or the push-ups, then you can always put your knees on the floor. And if the planks are manageable, but push-ups are not, you could always just hold planks. Because we're going to do some Chaturanga push-ups now. Remember that Chaturanga push-ups? Just go halfway down to Chaturanga, hence the moniker. So with your elbows inside out, so they stay close to your sides, pitch your body weight forward so the elbows stay over the rest. Lower halfway down, Chaturanga Dandasana, and press back up, plank position. Here we go. Lower, and lift. Lower, we're just going to do 5, and lift. 2 more, try to keep your tailbone long. Lower, and lift. Don't droop your hips, but also don't overlift them. Here we go. Lower, and lift. Take a few breaths. And we're going to lower just for a short little hold in Chaturanga because we love Chaturanga. Here we go. Lowering halfway down. Hold here. Put your knees down if you need to, but keep a nice straight line from your shoulders to your hips. And then take it to the floor. Release your toes, shoulders back and down. Inhale is your cobra. Exhale, lie back down. Inhale, cobra. Remember your elbows stay bent in your cobra. And exhale down. If you don't know that, check out my cobra versus that dog video. It explains why. Inhale, cobra for the hold. Chest broad, legs stretching, shoulders relaxing. Remember the neck follows the line of the shoulders. So you're not gonna like throw it back. It's just whatever arc your spine is making, the neck will follow. And lie back down. Elbows tight, thighs strong, rib cage to pelvis. Take it to plank and pull back from your hips. Downward facing dog. Notice that I say pull back from your hips instead of push back. So instead of using my arms, I'm really shifting everything always into my core. Because you know, no matter what the question, the answer is core. Looking forward as you're ready. Remember the palms stay flat, particularly the left palm. That's the one that's going to want to lift. So make sure the bottom heel of your palm stays flat as your knee comes to your chest. Pull the knee up towards your armpit, sort of round your spine like a cat. Because at that point, you just sort of kick your foot forward. My palms stay flat, my foot between my hands as I step, feet together. Inhaling, extend. Exhaling, and fold. Inhaling, arms by ears, flat back, rise up. And exhale. It's hands to heart. My hands are like ice cubes right now. They're so frozen. Inhale, arms come up. The trials and tribulations of living in Los Angeles. Take it all the way down on your exhale. Inhale, flatten out your spine. And exhale, left foot back, followed by the right foot. Getting ready for a few push-ups. Take a deep breath in. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We're going just halfway down. 4, 5. Elbows never leave your side. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Hold here. Take a few breaths. So those Chaturanga push-ups, they really pack a punch. You gotta make sure the elbows stay to your sides, the elbows stay over your wrists, and that you just go halfway down. Very different from a military style push-up. Take a deep breath in. Show me your Chaturangas, even though I can't actually see you. Come to Chaturanga Dandasana. I'm gonna go on faith, but you are holding this, breathing, staying strong in your core, and release down. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, lie down. Tuck your toes, thighs strong, rib cage to pelvis, elbows tight as we press to plank, and pull back from the core to downward facing dog. So, usually I like to jump forward, but today I'm going to be working on stepping because it does take a lot of hip flexion. And we're going to be working with a lot of hip flexion today. So looking forward, palms flat, right knee to chest, to armpit, round spine, and take it in. Feet together. Inhale, extend, exhale, and fold. Inhale, flat back, rise up and touch your palms. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms go up. And exhale all the way down. Inhale, extend. We're going to work straight through this time. Exhale, step it back and lower halfway or all the way. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, either through your push-up or directly back if you need to. It's downward facing dog. So remembering that the differences between up dog and cobra, including the entrances and the exits, are a little more complicated than meets the eye. If you're not sure why that's complicated, I recommend checking out my up dog versus cobra video. It will enlighten the crap out of you. Looking forward, keep your palms flat. We're stepping with the left leg up towards the armpit. Make sure the left palm does not lift even one iota as the left foot comes between your hands and the right foot follows. Inhale, extend. And exhale, fold. Inhale with a flat back. Rise up and touch your palms. Exhale, hands to heart. Last salutation A. Arms go up, inhale. Swan dive down, exhale. Inhale, extend. Exhale, left leg leads, right leg follows, lowering halfway or all the way down. Inhale is an upward facing dog or a cobra. And exhale, either through your push-up or directly back, downward facing dog. Take some long, slow, deep breaths. And remember, if you ever have to choose between a long spine and straight legs, always choose spine. So back is straight or even in a bit of a back bend, and if that means you need to bend your knees a little bit, so be it. I'm stepping with my left foot this time, keeping the palms flat. Inhale, extend. And exhale, fold. Inhale with a flat back, rise up and touch your palms. Exhale, hands to heart. I'm laughing because my elbow just did like a really weird popping thing the last 2 times. So wouldn't it be funny if my elbow just like pops out in the middle of this? Ha, ha. Okay, inhale, chair. And exhale, fold. Inhale, extend. So you can either step to plank or jump to Chaturanga this time. So we'll take it back, lowering either to Chaturanga or the floor, up dog or a cobra, and do the push-up or directly back, downward facing dog. Okay, so let's go ahead, take your right leg up into the air. You can open your hip if you want to. Just getting some nice little stretchy bits here. And today we're going to be working with handstand, sort of Hanuman's switch over entries to the front of the mat. So let me just say that if you don't want to do the handstand, you're just going to step like normal, okay? But keep your palms flat. But if you do want to do the handstand, pop up onto your left toes, right leg up, okay? So we're going to come into basically like a Hanuman split. And switching in the air will land on your right leg. Okay, so sort of like a standing splitty type of a thing. Now, from here, come up to standing and pull up your left leg. Okay, so imagine that your leg is sort of like on a shelf here. The higher this is, the easier it's going to be to get the tree number 2 bind. So I pull my foot just above my pelvic bone. Taking my left arm around, seeing if I can get the clasp. Now, if you can't get the clasp again, you can always use your strap. Notice that my gaze never shifts, and my left knee pulls down to the best of my ability. Right arm goes up, taking a few moments in balance. Another variation would be if you hold the right foot with your right hand and hold your right hand, or your right arm, sorry, with your left hand. That's another modification if you don't have a strap. And then seeing if you can, maybe without touching the floor, maybe you do touch the floor, whatever works for your body, folding forward within my bind, within your bind. And then coming back up to standing, take your time. Keep your leg as it is. Release the hand. Now I'm bending my right leg slightly so that the leg doesn't slide down. Arms will come up. I've never lost my drishti. Fold all the way down. Both hands this time to the floor. We're gonna jump to basically like a Chaturanga in like a half lotus. So you see I'm sort of pulling it right into my hip here. Remember that when you jump back, you always land with your arms 90 degrees, never to straight arms. So we pop back, and then to give a little bit of extra opening, lie down right onto your leg and take it into a cobra. And then lie down, tuck your toes, press up, pull back, down dog, and open your left leg up into the air. Again, your hip can be open or closed on this one, your call. Make sure you're breathing though. That's not your call, you just gotta breathe. Okay, so again, we're gonna have a choice of sort of that Hanuman jackknife split change thing to the front of the mat, or you could just step your left foot forward, keeping your palms super flat if you want the modification. So, remember that if you go into a handstand, we're gonna be coming into like a Hanuman and switching legs, so we land on the left leg. Left foot is between the hands, however you choose to get there. Coming up to standing, find your drishti, find your gaze, your focal point, and take that right heel high. So again, when you go higher than you're used to, higher than you're gonna land, it does make it easier to get the clasp because your shoulder, it's high, right? So the lower your leg is, the harder it is to get your clasp. So I bring the foot all the way up, I'm taking it just above my pelvic bone. I reach in, see if I can grab my toe, use a strap if you need to, or grab your left arm, and left arm comes up if you're not grabbing it. If you are grabbing it, obviously it's not going to come up. Breathe, keep your eye on the prize, that's your drishti. For me, like 45 degrees down is my most stable drishti. I know that like more classically would be forward, and if you really want to challenge, you look up. But not right now because we're going to fold forward. Okay? So as you fold forward, maintain your bind. The bind gets a little bit easier as you fold. Maybe your hand comes down to the floor. Maybe you could avoid that. Just grabbing your ankle, Achilles. And then taking your time as you come back up to standing, hold the bind for a moment. Right knee is low. Release the bind. So my foot is staying up by a combination of a slight bend in my left knee, but also pressing back from my right. And then I'll fold forward, in control. I'm just gonna pop back a little bit. So remember that you're gonna jump back to Chaturanga dandasana, not to plank. So in order to do this, when the leg goes back, the chest goes forward to allow for that 90-degree bend in front. Try to keep your right knee off the floor on that landing. Then lie down right onto your leg, taking it into sort of a hip opener-y cobra. And lie back down. Tuck your toes, press up, open hip, and right leg comes up and open. And place it down, hips width from your left leg. Take some breaths in your downward facing dog. Okay, looking forward as you're ready. Palms stay flat. Right foot leads, left foot follows. Inhale, extend. Exhale, and fold. Inhale, chair. And exhale, stand. Hands to heart. Are you having fun yet? Inhale, chair. We're about to. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extend. So again, either step to plank or jump to Chaturanga dandasana, so we don't jump to plank. So either step to plank or jump to Chaturanga. And then you could lower halfway or all the way down. Inhale is an upward facing dog or a cobra. And exhale, either through your push-up or directly back, downward facing dog. Let's lift your right leg up, because we're going to do the same thing as before, as far as either taking the handstand or just stepping forward, keeping your palms super flat. That can be enough work in and of itself. So however you need to, you're going to take it into sort of that standing split on the right leg. So I'm going to jump through my handstand. Got some weird shadows on the ground here that throw me off. I usually practice so early in the morning there's no shadows. Among other things, my braids are swinging around. Right leg comes down. Okay, come on up. Back into your tree two for Shavasana V. Find your bind. Okay. So this time, we're just going to fold forward and squat down so that you're on basically your heel. Now for a little comic relief, I'm going to try to balance in this pose. This is not among my great balances. Let me just forewarn you. So just play with it. Hopefully you're looking at your own process and not mine anyway. My right arm becomes like the conductor in this balance. And then right hand comes down. Now, twisting to the left. We come into sort of like an upside down grasshopper pose here. In order for this one to work, you have to press your foot into your thigh, and then my right leg, when it comes out into the grasshopper position, really needs to push forward. Otherwise, this leg is just going to sort of slide off. Okay, so we want to keep it nice and secure in the hip crease. So big rotation. So rotate to the left, and this may actually be enough work for you today. Maybe you just work on the twist. But if you've got the twist, take the left knee to the right arm, and then the right leg just pushes forward. Okay, again, exactly the same as a grasshopper, just upside down. Arms are in basically a chaturanga. And then I bring the foot down, rotate forward, find my clasp, take my time, coming up for the moment, and the moment is gone. Left arm up and fold. Okay, I'm just gonna hop back again so I'm well on my yoga mat. Okay, so taking it into your Chaturanga, again, when you jump back, think of your leg sort of like a kickstand. As it sort of angles back, my heart moves way forward. Don't let your left knee touch the floor. And then let your left knee touch the floor as you come all the way down into your hip opening cobra. Elbows tight as we take it back to downward facing dog. Left leg is open. Take a few breaths. And again, either you're gonna step with your palms all the way, honest to goodness, flat, or we'll jump in through the jackknife, switcheroo handstand. So you're landing on your left leg. Coming up to standing. Grabbing that foot. Pulling it way high for the bind. Knee drops. Left arm is high. As we fold forward and squat down. I actually have 2 bad knees, so boy, is this not a great pose for me. And yet, practice your balance. Find your drishti. It's not an easy one for me, that's for sure. Some people look so good in this. I'm not one of them. Hand down, twist to the right. Okay, so remember, maybe you're just working on a deep twist, and if that's so, try to keep your knees sort of high. Okay, so again, I don't want my foot to slide way out, so make sure it's nice and secure in the hip. Foot is pressing in, and by the way, when your knee pulls back, it helps to keep your foot in place. And this leg, the left leg is going to be going out to the side, needs to push forward to keep my foot in place. So my right leg is on my left arm, and I just kick my left leg forward. Then bending my knee, I come back down. Okay, here we go. I'm taking my fold with my clasp and taking my time as I rise back up. Releasing the foot, arms go up, and folding forward in control. Dropping back just a little. I jump to Chaturanga dandasana, keeping the right knee lifted. Whole body lowers simultaneously. And releasing my left toes. I'm in my half lotus cobra. And tuck toes, rest back, and pull back. Down dog, right leg releases up into the air. And back down with the feet for downward facing dog. I can't even remember if I'm stepping with my right or my left, so I'm going to step with the left because it tends to be the sad little orphan leg. Keeping my hands flat, left foot steps forward, right foot follows. Inhale, extend your spine and retract your shoulders. And exhale, fold. Inhale, chair. And exhale, stand. Hands together in front of your heart. Last standing series. Inhale, chair. And exhale, fold. Inhale, extend. And exhale, step to plank or jump to Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And right leg lifts. Okay, so pick your poison. You're gonna step or you're gonna handstand jackknife switch thing. Here we go. And coming up to standing, you'll see I landed a little further back because we're gonna be working from a little further back this time. Bring the foot in. No bind, okay? So just like a basic, if I even shift my gaze for 1 second, I fall over. Just like a basic for Shavasana 2 without the grab. So for our last one, we'll be trying to press into a handstand from here. Now, remember that when I say trying, what I mean by that is trying. Don't worry what it looks like. You may very well not get off the ground. That's fine, because the work of getting off the ground is exactly the same as the work of trying to get off the ground. So, my hands will come down. I'm going to pop back just a little bit. My foot will be approximately a foot behind my hands. Now, remember, you can practice jumping if you want to. I'm going to be pressing. I'm going to be explaining the press. But my gaze is about in a triangle. If my thumbs were to form a triangle, that's approximately my drishti. Now, remember that when we're going up, it's heel of the palm that presses me up and fingertips that stop me from flipping over. Oh, by the way, walls also stop me from flipping over. So if you need to practice this in front of a wall, go for it. And in fact, if you press your head into the wall, it will make this even easier. So, embedding my humerus is into my shoulders. I lean forward onto my tippy toe. Now, quite honestly, all I'm gonna have to do at this point is bend my knee to get off the floor, so long as I can compress my chest into my thigh. So with my thigh right on my chest, I lean forward, come high on my tippy toes, and then I bend my right knee and bring it up. Then in control, I'll bring it back down into my tree 2 basic position. Coming up into standing. And hands to heart. So remember that my videos on YouTube will always help you to learn how to do individual poses like the press. My videos on my union channel are classes like this, full length classes, right? So totally different bird. So from here, arms up and fold forward. The full length classes give you the proper warm up and tools to get into the poses. And then extending, we're gonna jump into Chaturanga. Again, don't drop this left knee, keep it lifting. Take it down. Cobra. And downward facing duck. Left leg, hip is open. I put the specials in the chat. That if you email me free week, I'm going to give you a free week of classes, unlimited, 24/7 on demand on my Union Fit channel. And annual passes are always 50% off. So here we go. We're taking it to the front of the mat. I'm going to land slightly behind my hands to set it up for my hands. You could just step forward if you need to. Okay, so coming up to stand. I bring my foot way in. Fold the knee way down. Now the good news is you don't have to bind. That makes it easier. The bad news is it's a handstand. That makes it harder, okay? So again, up to you. If you want to practice hopping, that's fine too. I really love the core action of the press. Even if you don't get off the floor, it took me a while to learn how to get off the floor. But I learned how to get off the floor by like not getting off the floor for a while. Your ego has got to be okay with that process. So, I'm compressing the space between my thigh and my ribs. And remember also that when I press up, it's a back bend, okay? So it's like a cow pose, not a cat, not a flexion, okay? So maintain lots of opening in your collarbones, in your chest, in your upper back and shoulders. And in order to press, first things first, maintaining this closeness between thighs and chest, you gotta come to like your tippiest toe. So your left leg is basically not even doing anything anymore. And as my hip lifts, my knee just bends in and up. Now this is a real upside down tree. You guys know that the name for handstand in yoga is Adho Mukha Vrikshasana, which means upside down tree. Take your left foot down. Come up to standing. I don't know why they thought that was like the best name they could come up with, since there's no like tree pose involved in it. And what is an upside down tree anyway? When's the last time you saw one of those? Hands to heart. But I didn't name these poses. Take it up. All the way down. You made it. Extend. Jump to Chaturanga. Lower. Cobra-ish thing. And downward facing dog. Right leg open and high. And take your feet down, knees down, feet together. A few moments just in a child's pose to release your hips and release your shoulders. Ideally, your arms are stretched out in front of you, but if that's too intense, you can absolutely just take them back behind you. I also like to take my knees apart, which is non-traditional, but it allows my chest to really melt all the way down and get some nice, sweet back bendy goodness in there. As we get ready for our back bends. Go ahead and crawl forward. Cross your ankles. Sit down right on your heels. Take your hands halfway between your knees and your hips, okay? Pull your knees up to your chest. Press strongly into your arms. And can you pull up to pull through? And if not, just roll backwards onto your butt. Lie down. Setting it up for bridge. Making sure that like my hair doesn't catch on fire from the space here that's running right behind me. I lift up my hips, interlace hands beneath, scoot one shoulder and then the other, and set to Bandha Shavasana, our supported bridge pose. Hips are high. And remember that this one should feel like your thighs are sort of rolling in and down. Most likely they feel just the opposite, like they're rolling up and out. Make sure you got equal weight to the inside and outsides of your feet. And with your arms way underneath you, squish your palms, sit down right onto your arms, extend your legs. Let your legs relax and just take a few breaths. And a nice passive opening across the collarbones, pecs, shoulders. How's that breath, by the way? Okay, stay as you are. Uninterlace your hands only. Don't change anything else. And turn your palms upside down so your hands are basically holding onto your thighs. Okay? As much as you can, you want your arm all the way up to your biceps underneath your back. So if you're just sitting on your wrist, it's not really doing anything to open your chest or your upper back. Breathe. Let the weight of your body work its magic here. And then bending your knees. Lift your hips, release your arms. Coming into your Urdhva Dhanurasana. Feet are hips width apart. If Urdhva is too hard, just stick with your bridge, it is fine. Hands come underneath your shoulders, fingers facing forward or slightly out, but never in. Keep your elbows close together, about shoulders width apart, as we lift our hips and then press to the crown of your head lightly. Elbows pull in, chest pushes back from your shins, and continue to press down to lift up. Urdhva Dhanurasana. If you want to, you can walk in any amount. Make sure your feet are flat, your chest is pressing back, breathing. And if you walked in, remember you want to walk out before coming down, and it's always chin to chest, elbows tight, shoulders first to the floor, and then release. That's going to protect your neck. I don't know if YouTube Live will run forever, if this is going to cut off right in the middle of the, well, not the middle of class, or towards the end of the class, but I'm hoping for the best. Okay, here we go. Hands under your shoulders, coming back into your Urdhva Dhanurasana, hips up, crown of the head, chest and shins back, elbows tight, press up. Now this time move your right foot midline, take your left knee to your chest, and then lift it up into the air. So your leg is sort of like vertical. Now coming into a half lotus in your Urdhva Dhanurasana. Rotate the left knee out, pull the left edge of your foot into your right hip, and then pull your left knee down towards the ground as you back bend. Then knee comes up, leg comes up, leg comes down. I feel like Dr. Seuss. Chin to chest, and come on down. Now, if that's too intense in the Urdhva Dhanurasana, you can do exactly the same thing in your bridge. If you do it in your bridge, you could either do it at the hip, or you could even do it at the knee, if you want something a little more accessible. Okay. Numero dos. Huh? Impressed with my Spanish? Left side. Here we go. Crown of the head. Elbows in, chest and shins back. Press down to lift up. Okay, so my left foot moves midline this time. Right knee to chest. Right leg straight up into the air. And then bend your right leg, taking your foot as close to your hip crease as possible. And then push the right knee down towards the floor to open your hip in your back bend. And then knee comes up, leg comes up, foot comes down, chin to chest, and bring it down, shoulders first to the floor. Okay? So last one, if you want it, we'll add a stand and drop. If you don't want it, we won't, okay? So if you want to, we'll stand and drop. Otherwise, just stay with your Urdhva Dhanurasana as long as it feels appropriate. Come down. We'll be meeting in Happy Baby. Just spoiler alert. If you get there early, just go into Happy Baby. So here we go. Lifting up, crown to the head, chest and shins back, elbows tight as I press up. Now if I'm going to stand and drop, it sure helps if I walk my feet in towards my hands and then coming up. Step towards the front of my mat. Going down with as much control as works for my body. My thighs will sort of press forward to fight the power. Here we go, leaning back. Trying to keep my heels flat. And then I walk back a bit, chin to chest. Coming down into my happy baby, which I love doing on YouTube Live. So there we go. Grabbing the outer edges of your feet. Feet are above your knees, pulling straight down like the happy baby that you are. Of course, this is called happy baby because it's what babies do to relieve gas. So if little things get relieved, don't be embarrassed. It's just natural. And then grabbing the insides of your feet instead, extend your legs out behind the coffee table. Try to keep your tailbone on the floor. And then taking your knees to your chest, roll on up to sitting. Okay. So from here, left leg, it's foot down, right leg, cross at the knee. Coming into our deep hip opener now. So depending how bendy you are, this bottom foot is as close to your hip as works for your body. Now that might be really, really far. That's fine too, but you probably wouldn't have made it this far in class if it were really far. Remember that we want to keep the spine vertical, so don't round into it. But to the extent that you can keep your spine vertical, you pull the left foot in towards your hips. And if you already watched my full-length videos, you know when you've arrived, because it's when you can pick your nose with your toes. Oh, come on. How many yoga instructors will do this on live? On live YouTube. Okay, no, that's not embarrassing at all. Take some breaths. This is my favorite hip opening sequence. So going a little deeper. Now I'm actually going to take my left foot out about, I don't know, a foot and a half. Make sure your right foot is right in alignment with the outer edge of your left leg. And again, that you're not leaning back into this. If you're leaning back, this foot needs to move forward more. So you want to be vertical. I tend to stay on my fingertips to keep my chest high, but if you want to put palms flat, that's fine. Just don't lean into it. We're twisting. So see if you can get that foot, right foot, into the right shoulder. Notice how low my elbow is in comparison to my my leg. So it's not elbow to foot, it's actually shoulder, or as close to your shoulder as you can get. Now, stay here if this is intense. And stay here if you can't get your shoulder to your foot, because if you're anywhere but your shoulder, you're not going to be able to move into this next one. But that's okay, because this twist is an awesome twist. But if you're with me, pull the right foot off your leg and away. So we're going to take your right knee to the floor, take your right arm through that triangle, and clasp your left wrist as we open up into Yogi Dandasana. Now there is a deeper variation where this right arm goes around the front of the leg, but because I'm having biceps and shoulder issues right now, I'm taking this more accessible variation. Are our hips happy yet? Because my hips are happy yet. Okay, wherever you are, So we'll come back to come out. Take your right foot, now pull it back into basically a half lotus position. So right back into the crease of your head. Leaning back onto your tush, grab your left foot and extend it up, okay? So this left thigh is coming close to your chest. If you want to, you can, remember how we did in the beginning with the Shavasana? You can push the left hand away, grab the wrist with your right hand and hook to the bottom of the foot that way. See how easy the half lotus is now? I do have a video here on YouTube that helps with butt balancing if that's your, like, bugaboo. I don't know why I'm so good at butt balancing. People tell me I have a flat butt. I don't think that is a compliment, but I remember one time I was dating a guy and he said, oh my God, your butt, you have no butt. And this was like before Kim Kardashian and all that stuff. And I literally was like, I didn't know if that was like an insult or a compliment, so I just sort of let it go. But I think about that all the time. You've got no butt. Okay, release. Bodily proportions, what can I say? They do make a difference in your poses. Okay, left leg goes out. To come out of this safely, you want to take right knee up first, then right foot down, pull it out a little bit, left leg comes up. Now, if you're right-legged, which is probably a manifestation of being right-handed, this is probably your more open side, which is good news, but I can't make any guarantees. So remember, right foot comes as close in or as far as works for your body, so long as you stay nice and compact. And boy, I wish you guys were on screen so I could see everybody picking your nose with your toes. Come on, tell me that's not sexy. Okay, at least I know I've arrived. Chest is high. So, it's a big thing with me, yoga without pretense. Breathe. So, again, remember that this knee, this right knee is basically pulling to your chest. This knee, your left knee, is basically pulling away from your chest. If you're sort of tight, you might find that this left knee is in and this right knee is far away. So at least, you could even use your hand, try to square that off. But never push yourself past an edge that feels reasonable for your body. Okay, coming into the twist. My right foot comes forward about a foot and a half, and my left foot is right at the edge, not past the edge, because how on earth am I going to twist that far? Right at the edge, just give me a fighting chance here as I get my left shoulder into the sole of my foot and rotate. Remember to maintain height in your spinal twist. And then you're going to stay here if you're not at your shoulder. If you are at your shoulder, push the foot off, take your arm either through or around the triangle. So I'm grounding through my right foot. I clasp my left wrist. I'm sorry, I clasp my right wrist. It's always the one that's behind the back that you clasp. And I sort of lean into that left knee and open. And breathe. And enjoy the ride. And my hips are so open right now. We did a lot of hip opening today. I hope your hips are feeling open. Be sure to stay after the class because I'm going to be doing Q&A. If you have any burning questions that you want to ask me, you can put them right in the chat and I will respond. Okay, so whether you're in the twist, in the Yogi dandasana or not, bring your leg back. Slide it down to your hip so you're in basically like a weird little half lotus. And again, you can straighten the leg and grab, if you need to, grab here. But if you can, grab with the wrist, it's your right wrist. And you try to clasp, if that's available, and bring that thigh right up to your chest. And I'm balancing like on the fleshy part of my butt, like between the tailbone and the sits bones, okay? So I'm not in front of the sits bones, and I'm not like bearing down on my tailbone, my sacrum, and that's what allows me to keep length in my spine. A lot of people sort of lean into the sacrum, so it makes like sort of this really rounded, not quite bouncy, sort of on their backy thing. Not really what we're looking for here. Last couple breaths. And release. So remember that first the right foot comes to the floor. To keep the left knee safe, we take the right leg out in front. I'm just going to scoot back onto my mat. Left knee comes up into the air first, then its foot to the floor. We'll take the leg out, setting it up for our Paschimottanasana. Scoot your tush flesh backwards so your sits bones are rooted. Inhale for length and exhale, fold forward. Remembering once again, every forward bend has an element of a back bend. So we're aiming for chin to shin, not forehead to knees, okay? So how much length can you bring into this one? And if you could get first your stomach, then your chest to your thighs, you just earned the right to drop your head, which will necessitate a little bit of rounding in your spine. But if you're not all the way down, even if your stomach is down but you can't get your chest down, work the back bend. It takes you higher, I get that, but it also takes you deeper, because as you have spinal extension, it pulls up on your pelvis, which lengthens your hamstrings. When you round your spine, which feels like you're going lower, what it does is it tilts the pelvis in the opposite direction and allows your hamstrings to shorten. The exact opposite of what we're trying to do in a forward fold. Take a few deep breaths here, and we will move into our closing series. Okay. Halasana, plow position. Make sure you're not going to kick anything behind you. Lie down, braids out of the way, legs up. Try not to just like fly into this. Put your hands maybe on the floor and slowly lift from your hips, rolling into your pose. I like to put my hands on my back and really, really scoot my elbows as close together as they'll go. Taking a few breaths in my plow. It's actually a real pose, even though most people don't hang out here. It's a beautiful pose, not just as an entry into shoulder stand, but in and of itself. Now, as we enter into shoulder stand, see if you can lift both legs straight and simultaneously up into your shoulder stand. Trying to get as vertical as possible. Remember that in this pose, you're trying to get your feet over your hips, over your shoulders to the best of your ability. There's a strong tendency for the feet to fall back towards the back of the mat and your hips to fall forward away from your face. So we're going to fight the power on this one and try to get as vertical can be. Now, optional Niralamba Chaturanga variation, which is the no limb variation. This is 100% optional. Make sure you never turn your head when you're in a shoulder stand. There's a lot of pressure on your neck here, so if you need to see what I'm doing, roll on out, watch me, and then come back. So Niralamba, we take our hands off our back. My legs need to come back a little bit to compensate. And I take my arms up to where my thighs are. So now it's a real shoulder stand. I'm actually standing on my shoulders. Now, for me, the feet
are always going to fall backwards on this one. But I'm sure trying to get them forward, I'll tell you that much. So getting as vertical as possible, whether your hands are on your back or not. And then let's take your feet to the floor behind you. Back to your plow. And then if you could get your feet to the floor, and only if you could get your feet to the floor, bend your knees as well for Pidasana, ear pressure pose. I like to grab my feet on this one and sort of pull the feet towards my shoulders to really, really compact the pose. If you can't get your feet to the floor, work straight legs and just work your Halasana. Now from here, go ahead, straighten your legs if they're bent, so everyone's in Halasana. Put your hands down on the floor in front of you, so they're going to act like brakes, nice straight arms. And keeping your legs as close to your chest as possible, as long as possible. Start to roll out one vertebra at a time. Nice controlled action, once again. Your hands are sort of helping out with the slow controlled action. Keep your thighs to your chest as long as possible. And there's going to be a point when you start moving into the vertebrae of the lumbar spine that the thighs are going to have to come off the chest. That's fine. Lower your legs about halfway or all the way to the floor. Your choice for fish or flying fish. I'm going to go halfway. So pressing into your elbows like you're watching TV or YouTube at the front of the room. Lift your chest up. Drop your head back until your head hits the floor. If you can't get your head to the floor, move your elbows closer together or a little bit forward. This is an opposite neck stretch, right, from your shoulder stand. Now, if you want to go to a full flying fish, if your neck is strong enough, release your arms, palms come together, straighten your arms out like you're pointing to your uplifted feet. Your chin is pulling back to the back of the mat. And then everybody, elbows come down, lift up off your head any amount. You don't want to roll on your neck. And then come back down, hug your knees to your chest, and then wrap your right leg on top of your left leg and double wrap like an eagle. Okay? If you can't double wrap, just single wrap and see if you can sort of get the ankles together. Then left foot comes down to the floor. Lift your hips and scoot them to the right so that you're on the outer edge of your left hip. Keeping your right shoulder on the floor, twist your legs over to the left. Top hand, wrap your hip, not your knee, okay? Because your hip is connected to your spine, and I hate to break it to you, your knee isn't, okay? When you pull on your knee in a spinal twist, what you're doing is you're just rotating your femur. But when you give some love to your hip, you're rotating your hip and actually getting deeper into the spinal twist, which I will argue is the point of a spinal twist. Let's come on back to center and switch sides. Left leg goes on top, see if you can double wrap. Press into your right foot, lift and scoot. Getting as much of your right hip underneath you. Left shoulder is on the floor. I'm just going to scoot back to center a little bit. And the gaze is to the left. Why is my gaze to the left? Because it's a spinal twist. My spine starts down at my tailbone, we'll say my sacrum, and goes up to my neck, we'll say my cranium. So I want to rotate the coccyx, the tailbone, in one direction, in this scenario, the right, and my neck, my cervical spine, in the opposite. In this scenario, the left. Come on back to center. Even things out. Hug your knees to your chest. I like to take my hands behind my head and pull my chin to my chest, my forehead to my knees to make a Shana ball. And then lay it out for Shavasana. So, in Shavasana, I do recommend that you pull your shoulders a little bit together underneath you. That's going to help you to keep nice space across your collarbones. The feet drop open. The hands are about a foot away from your body. The body is completely relaxed. That means every muscle from your toes, your feet, your legs, your butt, your core, your arms, fingers, neck, your facial muscles, and your brain are all relaxed. See if you can, for about 5 minutes, find stillness. slowly from here, allow your fingers and your toes to begin to come back. As you're ready, arms stretch out behind you, lengthening out your spine, getting out any last tension. And then bending your knees, turn over to one side in a fetal position. The eyes remain closed and your breath free. As we begin the transition out of our practice and back into our daily lives, maintaining as much quietness, stillness, and calmness as possible. As you're ready, lean into your top arm to gently press your way back up to a comfortable cross-legged seat. As our hands come together in front of our hearts, we bow our heads gently to the light and to the beauty that shines within each one of us. Namaste. Thanks to everybody who waited out this whole thing. If anybody has any questions that you would like me to answer, sorry, the camera's way up there. My computer is down here. I'm happy to answer any questions. Hi to Niggly. Remember, guys, that if you liked this class, I have an entire channel dedicated to full-length classes, some as hard as this, some way easier, and some way harder. No matter where you are in your practice, my Union Fit channel has classes for you, and the link is in the comments. If you email me, shana@yogathletica.com, with the code FREEWEEK, I will send you a free week of classes, and annual passes are always 50% off. So I hope that I'll see you over there. It looks like there are no questions today. All good. I actually don't even know how to end this, so I'm gonna try my best, but let me just say namaste. Thank you for showing up today, and I do hope to see you over on my Union Fit channel.